Have you met All Modern? All Modern brings you the best of modern furniture, and they deliver it for free in days. You heard that right, days. That way, you get your sofa ASAP and can sit comfortably while figuring out your other modern must-haves. At All Modern, you'll find only the best of modern, from Scandi to mid-century, minimalist to maximalist. Every piece is hand-vetted for quality by our team of experts and designed for real life. That's modern made simple. Shop now at allmodern.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying time is here. That's right. We're talking about Fatal Games, believe it or not, on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the Falcon Academy of Athletics. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And of course, today we will be discussing the Olympic masterpiece, the gold medal winner for incoherent slasher film of 1984, Fatal Games, in the hopes that a young athlete's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person I trust to decide if I'm a kid or a guinea pig. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
You can, if you just listen quietly for a moment.
Okay.
Do you hear that scraping sound?
Yes, I do hear that in the background.
That's us reaching the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, you think? You think we finally hit a place where we may have overreached? I said just before we started recording, this is what I get for scheduling a movie based on its subject matter around an international event, hoping that might draw more ears, and then watching the film and going, oh my God, what have I done to us?
Just doing a whole George C. Scott, stop it, turn it off.
I mean, based on the amount of nudity in this film, Gina, it's not that far off. It's almost as if the people involved in the making of the film decided what slasher films really need is a whole lot of nudity. And then someone said, but, like gore and interesting kills, and like, I think we're going to double down on the nudity. I think that's where nudity forward is how they push this film.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say that this is an interesting slasher movie in that it feels like it started out that it was intended to be softcore porn.
Mm-hmm.
And then, some guy in his 77 Lincoln Town car has a cigar and said, you know what? You know what's really making money right now is the slasher movies. What do we got? I got 45 minutes here. Like, can we put another 45 about that slat? The Jason and the Michael. Can we do that? I think we can do that.
Instead of like an undead mutant or a crazy burn killer or a silent maniac.
Let's make him one of them lady boys.
Spoiler alerts for 1984's Fatal Games. We've unfortunately uncovered yet another element of trans panic. This was not something I knew going into the film. This was something I discovered well after the fact. And when it was, finally revealed, I was like, again, Gina? Again they went to this well?
I do appreciate how it is revealed. It is not like a crying game type moment or anything like that, no. where a tender, intimate moment it goes awry, but but it just a newspaper just dropped on the floor.
Yes, like where was this newspaper kept that it flops right in front of the camera like, oopsie. I mean, you have to want people to see that, and of course, usually when crazy things are revealed via newspaper headlines, that's something we love to celebrate here on this show. We like that. And when this happened, I was just like, I can't believe we got fooled again into thinking that this might be a real movie. And they're like, no. You've seen these movies before. Here's another one, but not as good at all.
No, and all my primary, because I did spoil myself by reading. And surprisingly, this movie has a Wikipedia page, which was the first thing I did not expect. The second thing was a relatively robust plot description, and I'm just reading and I'm like, oh no. And then when I get to the moment when it's revealed, my first thought is, man, that must have been a slow news week in that town.
It's apparently driven by an Olympics-based economy where everything revolves around the creation and, building up of athletes for an every 4-year amateur sports competition. I don't really know how that equals $$ for ASICS Tiger, but they are sure in the market for exploiting these youths into gold medals. And then so we got like another one of these like terror train, sleepaway camp reveals. And on top of that, it's just liberally lifting from Graduation Day, a film which you could argue doesn't have that much to offer if you want to lift from it.
No, it does not.
I was looking forward to something on the level of the Gangsta Rock or a weed gun, a gun that dispenses spliffs to you instead of bullets, or a football sword. These are all things that you stumble upon in Graduation Day, and you're like, okay, I guess this Michigas was worth it. But this is just like, no. We're going to cross out individual sports players. Those students are going to disappear, and the staff of the education, facility that they're a part of are like, let's keep this quiet. No parents are seen at all.
Nope.
And then finally, towards the end, they're like, how about a corpse course? We're just, instead of in an upstairs room, now it's in a basement. Here's a corpse course.
Yeah, everything about this feels so lazy and so indifferent, and which is why I honestly think that they may at one point have originated as, I bet those those folks go to the Olympics. I bet they're like super horny after their 12 hours a day of hardcore athletic training. I bet they can't think of anything else but to go home and have sex with someone. Then they thought that slasher movie would be more profitable, but like the killer uses only one weapon.
Yes.
They're not particularly gory or memorable kills. They don't try very hard to set up any red herrings, except maybe this doctor, and it's literally just one scene of him pinning a beetle down to a like he's keeping a sample of it.
Yeah.
They have this that's barely a subplot where this doctor has created some sort of mysterious performance enhancing drug. Like that comes to nothing.
Yeah, that's where I was hoping it was going. But no, they just throw that out there that they're juicing these kids up and it's affecting their personalities. And then one kid's kind of an a-hole and he dies third.
They're just a little like, snappish at each other. Like They don't get like hyper aggressive or anything that you would think is being implied as happening here.
You're just left at the end of the day kind of like trying to piece together a thread as to why they made the choice to make the trans character the villain. And there's no particular reason. They just like had Sally Kirkland. They're like,
yeah, Academy,
she's gotta be a man, I guess.
Academy Award nominated actress Sally Kirkland, which I had to make sure I was reading that right when I was looking at that cast list.
The steroid thing is like right there, right? You've got a crazy doctor who's pumping these kids full of weird drugs that are causing damage into their body, and they're going full aggro, and one of them goes crazy and decides to kill everybody else. That I'm okay with. This is such a left turn, so out of nowhere, and obviously borrowed from movies that do it better, that the entire affair feels like a cash grab. And guess what, Gina? This is going to blow your mind. This movie is a cash grab.
What?
Yes. The doctor in question, played by Michael Elliott, is also the director of this film. One of the writers, Christopher Mankiewicz, plays Coach Weber, a.k.a., in my notes, Coach Asshole. So they're involved in this from the very get-go. Mankiewicz, you're right, Mank. He's a Mank, everybody. And he was a studio exec all over town for eons, and then decides to go solo. And his first big, expenditure on his own is to make this movie, Fatal Games, which was known at one point as The Touch of Death, which, if you said, that sounds stupid, you're right. It sounds even more stupid than Fatal Games. Why would you make an Olympic-themed slasher movie and not evoke some level of sportsmanship or Olympics or anything along those lines? Again, they came to that realization at a certain point. But this entire endeavor was created by people who did not like horror movies, figured we can make one for cheap and make a ton of money out of it, then made it and tried to sell it all over town, where they had an automatic in to every studio. And everyone said, hard pass, Gina. This was never released theatrically.
I am stunned.
This was a home video hit on Media VHS. And it remained there for a really long time, to the point where I had never seen it before.
Me
but
neither.
I knew the Olympics was coming up. And I'm like, well, we want to be in on the action. We want that cool Olympics boost to our podcast. Why not schedule 1984's Fatal Games? It can't be that bad. Turns out it's close to that bad, Gina.
Like, I feel like you're supposed to walk away from this saying, well, as a slasher movie, it wasn't much, but hey, there was a lot of nudity, but it's not even good nudity.
No, unfortunately, everyone is photographed, to steal from Mystery Science Theater 3000, as if this is their last known photo. It is just not intentional, good-looking nudity. No one is set up to look hot in this movie. And that would at least help, right? If you're going for a nude forward movie, at least make everyone who's agreed to expose their flesh look soups hot.
Yeah,
but often they're just curled up in a fucking corner.
Yeah, and like they're all supposed to be, a bunch of athletes at in peak condition, and like the men are all scrawny, and like the women are all flat butted, and like it is a very as Patrick put it, nude forward movie, but it's not sexy. Like the most sexual it gets is you get like one couple sort of wrestling in the nude, which is like, I guess that's nuzzled for somebody. And then you've got like a massage that like turns uncomfortable very quickly.
Yeah, usually you have to watch that sort of thing with a private browser on. But here it's Sally Kirkland working on this gymnast character. But it turns out that's not even the gymnast. The nudity is inserted. That butt is actually Linnea Quigley's butt.
God bless.
Two movies now this year in which Linnea Quigley has been flown in, shot out of a rocket to provide bare butt for a motion picture.
Yeah, it's like Sally Kirkland, like, cups this woman's butt and all of a sudden she's like, well, I gotta go.
All right. That's my exit. It is weird. There is a frankness, I suppose, to the introduction of queer characters in this, and not a huge deal is made of it. That being said, the big queer relationship in the film is, in point of fact, a coach and a student.
Yeah, a student of now, to be fair, it's impossible to tell how old these people are supposed to be because, again,
True.
In keeping with 80s slasher movie casting, these characters could be 18 or they could be 35. I don't think she is necessarily underage, but it's still not a great look.
Right. I mean, they're at the very least, it is college level. I mean, they're trying to be Olympians, so they're on the younger side, but they don't necessarily means that they're minor. But it's still an authority figure and someone under their direct auspice who's like, "Hey, I started sleeping with you because you said that I would make the Olympics, and I didn't even get to nationals." And she's
I don't know how that works. like one point I was going to make was the two older female employees of this, Olympic training school, one's a lesbian and one's a trans woman, because of course they are, because that's just playing into stereotypes. Now, at least the coach isn't like, particularly like butch looking or anything like that. They don't go quite that far in the stereotypes, but also, like, she's pissed that sleeping with this coach does not make her a better swimmer. Like, I don't know how that works. That's not necessarily how things happen. When you hear about professional teams and they've brought in a really good coach and then they make the finals, it's not because they all started to like do a daisy chain of jerk-em-offs. It's, they practice and shit. They're talented. They have role players. So I guess her role to play is sleep with the swim coach and you get third. So just to run the audience through this, I don't know that we need a full. There's not much. There's minimal plot to this. For 70 minutes, I didn't know who the lead character of the movie was. It is very much a group effort or just an unfocused mess. You choose, because either applies. Yeah, I think there is technically a final girl that, I guess that's Annie. Yes. Yeah, I was going to say Annie is coming up for us at this point. Annie is coming very close to Tina as the preferred slasher movie girl's name. Yes, I think if we had been smart and we had started an Excel spreadsheet when we started this 8 years ago, we would have started to keep track of names. And I think you're right. Annie is really coming up into a second place finish here in terms of final girl names or even character names at all. It's used far too often. Thankfully, at the Falcon Academy of Athletics U.S. Regionals competitions for athletes who want to compete good and do other things good in Brookfall, Massachusetts, there's only one Annie so far. And one of my favorite elements of the introduction of this film is an establishing shot of the Falcon Academy. And if you take a drink every time that establishing shot is used, you will die. Yeah, oh yeah, they're like, this is an on location shoot. We spent on location dollars. Yes, it's also not Massachusetts. That's on the west side of fucking LA. The interiors of this school or that high school doesn't exist anymore. It's Aviation High. But the outside is actually still a high school, University High School. Another amazingly named facility. And the other thing is the title card for this reads Fatal Games, and then above it, it's in French, is Le Jeu de la Mort. Oh, is that okay? So that's true on the DVD too, because I watched it on Shudder, and I was very amused by that. No, I checked Shudder. I did the reverse. I'm like, surely
This is not something that's a permanent part of this film. No, it is. I don't know, because it's an international effort, or I don't know what's going on there. But according to the opening song, which,
oh my God,
in terms of opening songs between this and Graduation Day, I think this is the better song.
I mean, if you're talking about, that they both rip off Eye the Tiger, then yeah, I suppose. But here, Patrick, here is where we come to a most unexpected connection to another movie we've done, and it's and it's not Graduation Day.
Oh, what is it?
It's Body Double.
Please, you teed this up mysteriously in text, but I wasn't sure exactly what the connection was.
So again, in this lovingly detailed Wikipedia page for Fatal Games under soundtrack, it says the song "Take It All the Way" it was composed for the film by Shuki Levy. Now, if you've watched any B or C grade cartoons in the 80s, you will see the name Shuki Levy come up a lot for composing the music for them. Mm-hmm. However, the song was written by Levy and his then wife, Dallas actress Deborah Shelton.
Oh, wow. Wow. Whoa. This is what they're doing the same fucking year?
The same year.
Deborah Shelton, a goddess walking on earth, is like, you know who I'm going to marry and hang out with 24/7 is the guy writing music for The Touch of Death, a.k.a. Fatal Games. I'm on Dallas.
Imagine she just had a long day of having a smooch on Craig Watson and then coming home, sort of, sitting down, letting out a sigh of exhaustion, deciding whether or not she should call her agent and have a long, difficult talk with him. And then she looks over at her husband sitting over the dining room table, just surrounded by crumpled up, yellow lined paper, looking very agitated on his fourth coffee of the day. And she's like,
take it all on down. No, crumple, throws over shoulder.
Take it to the top. Fuck.
Oh, God damn it. I'm so close. Deborah, do you need help? No.
You're the actress. I'm the songwriter of this relationship. Just let me figure this out.
You remain hot. I will be over here doing very mid music for the 80s. Take it all the way. Genius. We're going to Mexican tonight, baby. The thing about the Graduation Day song, the opening song, is that it does evoke that sort of 80s montage thing, but it's 81. So it's so early in the run, it's almost original in comparison to Take It All the Way, yeah, that happens here, that feels like every song you've heard smashed into one mid effort.
Well, it's like, it's like winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. It's like all that bullshit that like a coach browbeats his players with.
Yes, it's just like everything you've ever heard in a post-game interview, set to mediocre music. And the other thing you kind of discover as the movie begins is that while all of these athletes are attempting to be Olympic caliber athletes, the Falcon Academy specializes in exactly 3 sports. Like the Olympics, which really narrows down what sports it's into. So you got track and field, you got swimming and gymnastics. And you're thinking, well, they at least have a staff of coaches. No.
Nope.
2 coaches.
2 coaches. 2 coaches coaching all 3 sports.
You got one guy covering track and field and gymnastics with individual, sports within them that are so specific that you would really need to be an expert in order to. I mean,
usually they for Olympics they tend to be former athletes of that particular sport.
Yes,
and this gymnastics coach does not look like he could tell the difference between a pommel horse and parallel bars.
No, his coaching method is do it again, faster, better, hold it, aggressive, too aggressive. Whoops, you broke your fucking leg. He coaches someone into breaking their leg, Gina.
Yeah, I it's not often that I watch a movie and think, you know what this movie needs? A little Christopher George. And yet I really, really felt the absence of Christopher George in this movie.
Christopher George would have blown everyone else off the map in this movie. And unfortunately, he raged himself into a heart attack before he could be cast in this role. It's really unfortunate. Instead, we get one of the screenwriters and former studio executive, Christopher Mankiewicz, pulling hair from behind his ear all the way over the summit of his head and over to the other side. He really needs that hat. That hat is doing a lot of work here.
Yes.
Then we have a doctor who apparently is in charge of everything, played by the director, Michael Elliott. His nurse, played with a real actor studio attitude by Sally Kirkland. There are moments here where it feels like she is struggling to come up with a line, but really she's struggling to come up with genuine motivation. She's so into the role, she forgets she's acting on screen half the time.
Yeah, she's at about a 9 and everybody else is at a 3.
The amount of effort is so much that it practically feels like she's in one movie and everyone else is kind of a background player. And it's just kind of unfortunate that she's been saddled with the doofiest role possible. And then when it is revealed that somehow she has too much male hormones in her body, which, okay. And then that got her kicked out of the Olympics. She runs around the entire school with a javelin with her fist out. She is in javelin throwing mode for a good half an hour of this film.
She is so good at throwing this javelin that she's able to hit someone who is moving.
She can anticipate
and hits them hard enough to pin them to a wall.
That first kill where she nails somebody to a wall with a javelin, literally lifts them off their feet. I don't know what direction she's throwing from because she's a very tall woman. And so you would have to be underneath them to give them lift to take them off the floor and into the wall. And yet, I don't know, she curves the bullet on this bad boy and just lifts that person and nails them to the wall. Of course, once they're skewered by a javelin, the bleeding that would happen after the fact seems to stop. She can drag bodies across an entire school without a drop of blood falling anywhere. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, whatever special effects money they had, they put way towards more the sound of the javelin, which I've never seen anybody throw a javelin in real life. I'm gonna assume they don't really make noise except when they hit the ground.
No, that's definitely an exaggeration. But I don't think it's the weirdest sound effect because the music supervisor here has decided to make sort of a killer's theme sort of thing. And in addition to a, super basic low Casio moan, they've included 2 sound effects to make it seem creepy and memorable. The first is a boing, Gina. It's a repetition of boing. The other is a rattlesnake rattle. That makes more sense. But every time the boing happens, I'm just completely taken out of any fear I might have and assume that hee-haw has started.
Or Daffy Duck has thrown a javelin at someone.
That's New York Ripper. Let's keep these things separate. Duck noises, New York Ripper. Boing is Fatal Game.
Have you met All Modern? All Modern brings you the best of modern furniture, and they deliver it for free in days. You heard that right, days. That way, you get your sofa ASAP and can sit comfortably while figuring out your other modern must-haves. At All Modern, you'll find only the best of modern, from Scandi to mid-century, minimalist to maximalist. Every piece is hand vetted for quality by our team of experts and designed for real life. That's modern made simple. Shop now at allmodern.com.
As school germs return, rest easy. Clorox has got your back to school.
Ugh, you're back?
It is I, your kid's germy desk, and I've got things to say. I've been sneezed on, used as a tissue. There's chewed up gum under my...
Calm down. I'll get my Clorox disinfecting wipes.
Oh, and can you please get these sweaty gym clothes off of me?
School, am I right?
Clorox disinfecting wipes kill 99.9% of viruses and bacteria and clean hundreds of messes on hard, non-porous surfaces when used as directed.
Freshman year of college is a lot. 100 people classes. I have so many questions, but one thing's a no-brainer. Getting a Brita pitcher with the Elite filter for your dorm room. You save over $240 a year by switching from plastic bottles to Brita. And it filters out 99% of lead and other contaminants from your tap water. Your emotional support water bottle will thank you. 99% of lead certified by WQA. Substances reduced may not be in all users' water. $240 savings a year versus standard 16.9 fluid ounce water bottles. Savings assumes pre-purchase of Brita system.
Hey parents, Greenlight is here to take one big thing off your to-do list, teaching your kids about money. With a Greenlight debit card and money app of their own, kids and teens learn to earn, save, and invest. You can send money instantly, set flexible controls, and get real-time notifications of your kids' money activity. Set up chores and put allowance on autopilot to reward them for their hard work. Then learn about the world of money together. Get 1 month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/podcast.
There's so much added to every scene in order to make this a movie that it just sort of undoes even introductions. We're kind of introduced to these people like performing their various sports. And then there's a medal ceremony where we're at least, given the information. These 7 characters are the highest achieving at Falcon Academy. And they have the best chance of making the Olympics. And they're presented with a gold medal from whatever they just won. And the announcer says their name, but we can't hear it because the person giving them the medal is talking over their name introduction, Gina.
Yes.
The medal presenter is giving everyone a lot of encouraging notes, like slight nags in a tone of voice that says, I have multiple locks on the door that leads to my basement. Congratulations. You did very well. And the unparalleled bars. And then, why are you talking? This is obviously ADR. It's not something they captured live on there. So the character introductions are interrupted. I didn't know whose fucking name anyone was for 20 minutes of this film.
Yeah, no, one thing that bothered me is they keep referring to one of the characters, the sole black character in this entire movie, who, incredibly is killed second, not first.
The restraint, the real curveball is what they're doing here.
Well, they keep referring to her as Sue Allen, and I'm like, why do they keep referring to her by her first and last name? No, her name is actually Sue Allen, last name, and I'm like, the kind of name is Sue Allen. You mean
it's not Sue Ellen from Dallas.
Yeah, it's like you sure you don't mean Sue Ellen?
Nope, Sue Allen. And oh my God, that poor actress.
Oh my God, a crime.
She is forced to run. And what I assume is the reference point for what happens in the remake of My Bloody Valentine, where a character literally is chased by a killer while she is nude for like 3 straight minutes. And in My Bloody Valentine, it almost comes off as just a bravura moment. Like there's no way they can keep this up. And they kind of do. And that she almost keeps her dignity throughout. Whereas Sue Allen is just forced to run down dark hallways, buck ass naked, pound on windows, hoping that her teammates will hear her, and they don't. Naked. All of it. And when she is finally killed with the javelin, because everyone in this movie is killed with a javelin, with one exception, it is a special effect so poor that the special effects person was shit canned from this movie that night. And who were they replaced with? No one. They were not replaced.
This is the second kill in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, from that point on, they get a little more indifferent with each scene.
Yeah.
I do like the contrived explanation as to why nobody hears Sue Allen screaming for help. Is you have these two characters that everything they have to do, they always have to be meeting in front of this school. Like
Yes.
everything they do is well, let's meet in front of the school at 9:00 at night. Well, let's just drive here and meet in this parking lot. But then we're going to go, to some third location after that.
Mhm.
But so they show up. He leaves his car running. And the girl says, "Why are you leaving your car running?" He says, "Oh, well, if I turn it off, I won't be able to turn it back on again." That seems like something you should go get fixed.
Yes, that is not a good sign for a guy whose dad is paying for him to eventually train with the fucking Pittsburgh Pirates for some reason. You should probably have enough money to get your engine on your AMC Gremlin checked. But somehow he does not. Like the opening of this, we sort of meet all these characters, but once again, since we don't hear what their names are, they're just randos. And they have this giant banquet with Mr. Sandburger from Tiger. I'm like, who is naming these people?
Mr. Sandburger.
Mr. Sandburger. And then you see this individual and you're kind of like, you know what? He kind of does look like a Sandburger.
He looks like
a
a Mr. Sandburger.
Yeah. I wrote a little dialogue of a couple of people after having seen the film, like, oh, what did you think of that horror movie you saw last night? Well, it wasn't very scary until the sequence where the caterer forgot to bring napkins to the banquet. Then it was chilling. So much is made that they did not bring napkins to this fucking banquet. And so one of the doofuses here goes and gets one of those bathroom towels that's just one long towel on a roll and hands it to everybody. So they're all using the same bathroom towel with their hands. And it reaches a crisis point where they're all tugging on the same towel that an impromptu tug of war breaks out.
Yeah, and suddenly it looks like there's like maybe 15 people on this Olympic team. And
Yes.
then it's just like these 7 characters afterwards.
Yeah, there's a lot of detritus. Like there's a couple people who play at the margins, but it's only the 7 people who have the chance of really making the Olympics who you need to pay attention to. Not that the film actually focuses on them.
No, and again, they don't really focus on each other either because, again, as we've seen enough of these movies at this point that before they started actually giving these people these characters personality and empathy, and they started being upset and worried when their friends disappear. They're just like, has anybody seen Nancy? No.
No?
Okay.
All right. That's as much as I'm going to give this.
Have you heard Sue Allen's missing? Yeah, no.
No, and I was actually enjoying her absence.
Yeah, it's like, who?
I hold it against you for bringing her up. And some of these people are like former athletes trying to be actors, and some of them are actors who have trained to be athletes. And you're wondering, can these people act? No, they literally cannot react to a strawberry hitting their head with any level of authenticity at all.
No.
It's amazing how just ungood they are at this. And it's really, I think they were cast because they said, yes, I will be nude in this film. That's what you kind of get. And at a certain point, everyone is so topless, and it goes across the board. The guys are topless. The girls are topless. And I'm like, at least there's parity. And then Sue Allen happens, and everything after that is just, no, women are nude. Guys are just noodle-armed doofuses.
Yeah, you got
after
like
that.
this one baffling scene in like the men's locker room where one of the dudes is showering in the background but has left his jock strap on.
You know how you shower with your jock strap on? A thing that
I mean,
really
that's just,
happens?
that's just a time-saving measure as you walk around with a damp jock strap on for the next 3 or 4 hours as your body heat warms it up.
You know, if you're looking for a free way to swamp crotch, this is how you would achieve it. This is the on-ramp to your getting that swamp crotch good and going.
The chafed testicles are the best way to success as a javelin thrower.
So we have Phil and Lynn. Lynn is a swimmer. Phil is a gymnast who is coached into breaking his leg later on. And they live together, and their apartment is decorated with some choice materials, including a lackluster Rolling Stones poster, a Pete Townsend poster that almost feels like they got it from Bananas magazine.
Is that what that was? I did notice that poster. I mean, my eye more went to the 8x10 piece of paper that says marijuana on it.
Yeah, I did enjoy the marijuana poster. But even better is in the background near a closet is one that is some sort of listicle with the question mark above it that says, "Are you a nerd?" with arrows pointing to the nerdiness of this individual in the poster. And I don't know why either of them would have it or put it up on a wall.
I mean, here's the thing, that's the thing. That's just the apartment that you stay in when you're at the Falcon Academy. It's not their apartment. It's like their little dormitory.
And then it does this thing every once in a while where it just fades to black like there's a commercial break.
Oh my God. That's another thing you can tell. It's a quality movie where a script where they don't know how to end a scene.
Yeah. And it's like the camera just gives up. It's like it runs out of film.
You know who's a big fan of doing that? Neil Breen.
Yeah, oh my God. Gina, you read my fucking mind. Because there are line readings here that literally feel Neil Breen-esque, which, we have learned since that he tells people their lines before he films it. He's editing in the camera. And so they don't know their motivation. They don't know. There's no formal script that they're referencing to. All of the information they're given is via Neil Breen. He's like, say this like that, and then they do it, and it feels like it's from outer space every single time, because the only one keeping track of any sense of this is Neil motherfucking Breen, who has fought digital tigers in movies multiple times. I want Neil, if this is a personal plea to Neil, I need him to get out of the green screen business and make a real movie again in which you are a hacker who steals all the government secrets. Can we get back to that? Can we get back to Magic Rocks? Please.
I mean,
I need people to die.
He is still a supernatural being in not Twisted Pair, whatever the hell the last one was. Cade, the Tortured Crossing, which I got to see in a theater, and it was amazing.
Yes. At least your theater did not have the lead actress of the film sitting behind you, wondering why the vast majority of the audience was laughing and clapping. Just like, why? This is horrible. Why would you laugh at that? She's being tortured. She's being tortured by a computer program coming through this man's fingers. I'm sorry.
One of my favorite things was it popped up on TikTok after the Tortured Crossing came out.
Mm-hmm.
My audience sort of did this, but not quite as enthusiastically. But you've seen a couple of Neil Breen movies. He pretty much handles almost every single aspect of it.
Yeah.
And completely just does away with like fake names or anything like that. It's all him. But like the audience, every time like Neil Breen's name came up in the end credits would applaud. And when it was somebody that wasn't Neil Breen, they would boo.
Who's this other person? Who's this interloper into Neil Breen's motion
He
picture?
didn't do his own catering. Boo.
Boo. Get back to Neil Breen. Anyways, a couple who I don't know if it is Phil and Lynn or a different couple are taking a shower together in which she refuses to face him. So he's soaping her shoulders the entire time. And he's like, I think we're going to do great because of this new medical routine that we're on. And she's like, I don't really, I don't know what they're giving us. I'm very reticent to take these meds. And he's like, babe, everyone's doing medications. Hardly any of us are murdering people with javelins. So you got to get on board.
Yeah, let me remind the listeners that this performance enhancing drug, this comes to nothing.
No, it leads nowhere. It doesn't make them harder to kill either.
No,
it
doesn't make them harder. It doesn't make them harder to kill. It does not seem to have any appreciable effect on their athletic performance because they don't bother showing any sort of before and after thing.
No, because it was probably filmed in 2 weeks. They don't have time for
right, of
before
course.
and after.
Yeah.
The next morning, they're like, hey, we need you to work harder. So I'm adding 2 hours to your athletic routine. It's like, is that how you guide multiple athletes in multiple sports to Olympic medals? You across the board increase their practice by 2 hours? If that were the case, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
And then we see Lynn. It turns out she's bad at starting a race. She's bad at
I don't know.
diving into a pool.
I'm a pretty good swimmer, not like obviously nowhere near like competitive. And boy, the form on these supposed Olympic caliber swimmers is terrible.
It really is not great, and so little care is given to any particular scene. When we are taken to the medical facility, like everyone's just sitting in a room waiting. One girl has an electrode attached to her face. What reading are you getting from that? There's one redhead who's just standing on a scale for the entirety of the scene. You either have her wait or you don't. You do not need to weigh somebody for 5 minutes straight in order to get an accurate reading. At one point, Coach A-Hole is instructing a person I eventually learned is Joe. Joe has a face like it's a first draft face. Let's put it this way. It's very lopsided. Parts of it are going east and other parts are going west. I'm not entirely sure. It looks slightly unfinished. But he is who you would assume would be, our red herring number one, our prime culprit, because he's a javelin thrower. And Coach A-Hole insults him and says, I've seen ballet dancers who throw harder. Ballet dancers are insanely strong.
Yeah.
Just like, why are you choosing ballet dancers as an insult? And he's like, your form is terrible. And then you look at this guy and he has visible scoliosis. Like, I'm not taking form advice from a guy whose spine is curved like a fucking question mark.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, why is the coach who is coaching javelin also coaching gymnastics?
These are not equal disciplines. These are very specialized skills. Like, does he on the weekend help with ice skaters too? Like, what else is he doing? In the guys' showers, we get Olympic level towel snapping and shenanigans, though. I think they could take that all the way. There's gold in their future.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy is a character in this. How could I describe her character? She's brunette and won't stop until she lifts all 20 pounds of that barbell. What does stop her, however, is that she is stabbed through the tum-tum with a javelin so hard that she flies into a wall.
It's like someone like threw a medicine ball at her.
Exactly. Like how people react in Dodgeball the movie.
I was going to say, or like Fear No Evil.
Yes.
When he has the power of the devil, and then launches a volleyball at someone so hard it like crushes his sternum.
But even there, what I love about that scene is the coach is like, yes, finally a dodgeball death. So thrilled. I do love that Nancy is still breathing when she's dragged away. So I assume her injury goes untreated.
Yeah, she's just kind of like propped up in a locker and left to be found later.
She just bleeds out in a basement, I suppose. Establishing shot number 2. I'm going to keep listing them out. I don't know what anyone sees in Phil, the sprinter here. He's like a Sears catalog is just given the gift of life.
Yeah, none of these characters have any sort of real appeal.
We get a sequence in which our eventual killer, Nurse Diane, implores to Dr. Jardine that he stop this medical experimentation on athletes. She goes, Dr. Jardine, they are kids. They are kids. They are kids. They are not guinea pigs. That's right. She says kids 3 times.
Oh, yeah. She's giving it her all in this scene.
Yes. She's trying to get that Oscar nomination for Fatal Games.
Fatal Games. She saw Meryl and Sophie's Choice and thought, I could do that.
I can lift this entire thing. And this is where I wrote, was this nurse directed to act this way by Neil Breen? It feels like they are editing in the camera, and she does not know where the emphasis of her character is. But who's to say? She might have had the entire script. Everyone talks like they had the whole script. So this is an intentional performance. They all are. They're just intentionally stupid. Joe, our javelin thrower, is perhaps a little too intense. Anytime anyone approaches him with even a modicum of modulation in their voice, he's just so angry and so pissed off. Another part of his skull either pushes out or pulls in. I do like his Thunder Road 79 t-shirt. It's excellent.
Yes, that is the one high point of this movie for me.
We get a very awkward massage between Nurse Diane and Annie that goes nowhere, but you do get to see a lot of Linnea Quigley's butt. So if that's something you're into, this is a great introduction to it. Establishing shot number 3. Which coach was sleeping with Nancy? This is something that's thrown out in the middle of this movie. That Dr. Jardine believes one of the coaches was sleeping with Nancy, and both of them look at each other like, I don't know, she's kind of the town bicycle. Like,
like who was it?
Like, everyone's kind of had a turn, including, the cleaning staff. That's how they view Nancy. The killer's sting in this movie gets worse every time it's brought up. At one point, it switches to just the sound of like a moped revving up, but the exhaust is connected to a Casio. It's like, you're like, now I'm missing the boing, 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 and rattlesnake rattle. You figure out one refrain and stick with it, please. Sue is really being asked to run the entire length of the school buck ass naked.
Yeah, this might be an even more, I mean, at least in Prom Night she wasn't naked, but
Yes.
it's a very, very drawn out chase scene.
No, this movie's chase scene makes that Prom Night chase look like I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's incredibly just inconsistent. And it's not the only one we'll see. Like, they sort of get worse as it goes. The Sue Allen one, you know, the highlight is that she's forced to do it in bare feet along linoleum floors. And you get to hear the thwack, thwack, thwack of her feet every single stride. But in the end, it doesn't matter how far she ran without any clothes. She gets speared in the stomach. Just not as forcefully this time. This is a gentle stabbing in comparison to poor Nancy.
Yeah, no, like I said, each one gets a little more indifferent each time.
I did enjoy the fact that our killer is wearing the shiniest tracksuit not owned by Apollo Creed.
They look like it looks like one of those suits people used to wear because they thought like you could sweat the pounds off.
Yes, and we will later learn that she's protecting her identity by wearing pantyhose over her face and then this tracksuit. So I don't know how she sees anything in this movie, because as soon as people leave for the night, every light inside this school is turned off, and I think they black out the windows on top of it. I was just stunned that a slasher this retrograde waited for a killer to kill a black character second.
Yeah, it's second. I was shocked. That's positively progressive.
Yeah. It is weirdly, you know, almost like they gave all their effort in wrong directions. It's an odd film. But this is one of the few times I've seen a character just back out of a scene like a garbage truck. They just beep, 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 out of a conversation. There's no blocking given to this person. So they just like Homer into a bush out of a scene. Now, what we learn later on, our main character, Annie, we hear about her family and how ardent her father is, that she stop all of this athletics bullshit and just go to regular school and learn how to read and write. You know, that bullshit. Yeah, because
it's an embarrassment to the family when you're at Olympic level, whatever the fuck she is, a gymnast.
Yeah, what are you going to do after? I don't know. Coach gymnastics? Like, there's a legitimate thing that you can do after.
You sell Wheaties? I don't know.
But he's like, I need you to have better grades and I need you to have larger breasts. And those are two things that are not going to happen here at the Falcon Academy of Athletics. We're taking you out of this school. And then we get another locker room scene in which people are buck-ass naked. Like, this is the most nudity we've ever covered on the show. There might be more nudity in this one film than the entirety of the Friday the 13th franchise.
Oh, I would absolutely agree. But it's not good nudity.
It really isn't. They're not presented in an attractive way, which is unfortunate because all these people, I would assume, would be in the shape of their lives. And if you're going to agree to do nudity, you should at least be presented in an attractive light. But no, you're either being chased down a...
Yeah, it's as different as everything else.
Yes. It is at this point in which Lynn, our swimmer, is being stalked by the killer, and yet another element of this killer is introduced in this sequence. We have a breather too, Gina. All of a sudden, we're hearing this killer's breath and how seemingly out of shape they are in comparison to these world-class athletes.
Which is odd because, like, she's probably maybe in her late 30s and still in good shape, but all of a sudden just running after these people maybe, 10, 15 years younger than her is just taking it out of her.
Yeah, why did it have to be gum? Why are we now hearing her breathe so hard?
Why do they always run?
Why did I choose to go after Olympic athletes? More horror movie characters need to complain throughout the chase sequence.
Yes.
We need to bring that back.
Yes. So I kind of hoping. I haven't seen.
There's nothing in it.
I haven't seen the In a Violent Nature yet, and I know it doesn't actually do this, but I really wish it was just because so much of it's supposed to be from the POV of the killer that I really do wish so much of it was just like him talking to himself and complaining.
Why do they always leave a fire going?
So
There's a fire hazard.
So who does yoga out in the middle of the woods? My God,
This is not a convenient place. For this, you need a level ground. Joe, a character in this movie, is in the middle of the field of track and field. So this is a very exposed place where 360-degree views of him are available. Is he killed with a javelin in the middle of this? Absolutely. Is his body hidden after the fact? You betcha. How is this possible? It's not. No one gave this a second, third, or 15th thought.
Well, here's the thing. Like, what would you expect would happen if a bunch of students at a prestigious training academy for future Olympic athletes started disappearing? What would you expect to happen at some point?
Obviously, some of them would drop out. Like
I was thinking more in terms of, a police detective might show up at some point to maybe,
no police in
ask
this town.
questions.
Investigates their disappearance whatsoever.
Every disappearance is brushed off and forgotten with, their parents are looking for them.
Yes. And they don't even call Dr. Jardine. At least in Graduation Day, they're like, have you seen my child? And he's like, stop calling me.
No one is concerned about this. Like,
no.
Even though in every single case, this was the last place that they were seen, like they just, must not be that. Must have happened to them on the way home.
Coach A-Hole and Nurse Diane go out for a drink, and he reveals that he does not feel like much of a man anymore. I'm assuming a world-class athlete should walk into this bar and talk about low T and how he can get it back by taking medication, but that doesn't happen.
If this was now, they would cut to like a shot of him sitting over on a cliff and matching bathtubs watching the sunset. I
love that as a branding statement. That is such a weird analogy for sex.
I love the metaphor. I love the metaphor of finally we're fucking again, but by having you sit in separate clawfoot
bathtubs looking at a sunset. I'm not going to brag. I've had sex. And that is a poor metaphor for sex. We are each in our individual bathtubs holding hands looking at a sunset. Does not make me think, oh my God, I do love sex. You're right. I would like to do that.
Thank God I can do it again.
Yeah. I need to get back there to that feeling of sex. When you're watching a sunset in your own bathtub and the person you're supposed to be having sex with, you can't touch beyond their hand because they're in their own individual bathtub. Here, have a boner pill. Sure. Makes perfect sense.
Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Have you met All Modern? All Modern brings you the best of modern furniture, and they deliver it for free in days. You heard that right, days. That way, you get your sofa ASAP and can sit comfortably while figuring out your other modern must-haves. At All Modern, you'll find only the best of modern, from Scandi to mid-century, minimalist to maximalist. Every piece is hand-vetted for quality by our team of experts and designed for real life. That's modern made simple. Shop now at allmodern.com.
Hey parents, Greenlight is here to take one big thing off your to-do list, teaching your kids about money. With a Greenlight debit card and money app of their own, kids and teens learn to earn, save, and invest. You can send money instantly, set flexible controls, and get real-time notifications of your kids' money activity. Set up chores and put allowance on autopilot to reward them for their hard work. Then, learn about the world of money together. Get 1 month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/podcast.
Speaking of boner pills, Phil. He is really driving home one of our favorite tropes. Have you considered my penis? And this one time, it's a ruse to get Annie to go to a Mexican restaurant because it's her birthday. And so I had to erase an entire paragraph of notes talking about have you considered my penis? Phil is a, by and large, have you considered my penis sort of character, to the point where he's like, move in with me. And she's like, my parents won't let me. And then he's like, oh, whoopsie doodle. My dad got me recruited to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And
yeah. He's trying
what?
to, he's trying to reel, you better, I'm shipping out tomorrow.
Come on, let's have sex. Come home with me. And then she does. And he's like, hold on. I got to do push-ups. Do push-ups in her. What the fuck is going on here? How is this foreplay?
Well, I mean, I think that it's supposed to be a gag that the cutaway. You're thinking that they're having sex, except A, he's on the floor right next to the bed, and B, it does. Doing push-ups does not look that much like sex.
There's a lot of upper body movement, where sex is really a middle of the body movement. That's
working the core muscles, not the shoulder and bicep muscles.
Yeah, you're not working on your traps in the middle of sex, but okay. Also, he has multiple exposed garbage bags. Multiple. She's like, I will do dishes that I did not dirty, but you have to take out the trash. And he's like, okay. He starts to gather the trash and he picks up 5 separate exposed trash bags. Do not get in a relationship with this man. More boing, rattlesnake rattle. And then now I'm writing down, nude colonies have more clothes on at any given time than the Falcon Academy.
Oh my God.
It's just endless, the amount of boobs you get to see. It's practically a boob delivery system. And then it turns out that Dr. Jardine is trying to retard Annie's hormonal growth. And he's essentially given her hysterectomy juice, because she just grabs her uterus and is like, wow, everything is going wrong. And then the nurse is like, hey, let's not go to the hospital. Come back to my apartment. Fucking why? What's at your apartment besides your backstory?
And she's trying to tell her like, oh, like you're just having a back cramp that'll go away soon.
Yeah. And don't you worry about it. I'll have him reduce your hysterectomy juice ration by a good third, and that should help things. Meanwhile, Coach A-Hole is trying to get Phil to, not Phil, who the fuck? I don't know.
The guy that crutches. Yeah.
But he should be praised, this character. Like after he breaks his leg, after his coach pushes him to do it. It is, I believe it is Phil. Frank. No, it's Frank. Frank is the one on the crutches. When he gets on those crutches, I've never seen somebody motor on crutches.
Yeah, like he's zipping along.
When he does break his leg, though, It should be noted, he is put on this gurney backwards. His feet are where his head should be because they are elevated, and his head are where his feet should be because there's a little board where Tootsie should go. And at one point they try to cover it up with a pillow, but only for his shots. When it's a 2-shot, that pillow is gone and he just looks like he's in a decline. It's just so bad, Jana. It's so terrible. Missed a couple establishing shots. I'm sorry. There are 2 establishing shots I missed in this because we're up to establishing.
Yeah, they
shot
use so many
5.
establishing shots that like they're all they're missing is like a lightning bolt and a wolf howl.
Yeah, to announce that you're finally at Castle Dracul. Absolutely. And so the killer is now after Lynn, who's swimming laps. And you're like, okay, so he's going to throw a javelin at this person while they're swimming. You're right, but you're not right about the direction. The killer dons a scuba suit and goes underwater, and we are treated to multiple underneath the water shots of a person aiming a javelin at someone swimming underneath, and Lynn never notices.
Yeah, nobody notices that this shadowy figure in a weight loss suit holding a javelin, which is not a small item.
No,
entering their space and getting close enough to pin them to a wall with the javelin.
Yes. And so we just watch Lynn from underneath do lap after lap after lap.
Kind of floundering around the water.
And then finally the killer leaps from the bottom of the pool and jabs the javelin into her tum-tum. And she flops, and then that's it. Goodbye, Lynn. At one point, you were the lead character in this movie. Now, look at you. This next note is, wow, this movie is terrible.
It's like, how many notes did you get to? You finally noted that.
This is towards the end. And at a certain point, I just gave up. Frank, Phil, and Annie decide to look around this empty school for Lynn, which makes sense. Lynn is their friend. Frank manages to break a window and get into the second-story window with a cast on. So I'll give it to him. He does seem to have a level of athleticism. And that was a note I wrote before I saw him truck his ass off in crutches. He is in a chase scene in which he is outpacing a grown woman, former Olympic athlete, on crutches. And it's believable. It may be the only believable moment in this entire film.
Yeah, he was zipping.
Yeah. And earlier in this, Dr. Jardine was like, oh, look at this picture from Graduation Day, the motion picture. It's a bunch of athletes with X's in front of the ones who are now missing. Maybe they are dead, but only the 4 of us, the adults at this Olympic facility, have keys to this office. Guess what? Frank walks in that fucking room easy as you please. Everyone ends up walking into this movie without keys at all. After it's established, you need a key to walk in there. But Frank basically is doing all the damage that a final killer's chase would do. He's breaking windows. He's smashing doors. It's just all the things like you would think would happen in a chase where someone's after him. He just does to get from one end of the school to the other. Only he's just looking for clues. And so where's the best place to do that? Well, he goes to the basement on his crutches. He goes to the basement. What is he looking for? Freddy Krueger? Nope. A corpse course. All of the dead people are shoved into lockers.
Yeah, and his reaction to discovering a corpse is sort of like he stepped in something. He just sort of a little bit like, eh. And then he looks kind of more like ew, rather than shocked or horrified.
Yeah, like the love of your life is in this locker with a bunch of green makeup on. And he's like, oh, that's not what I wanted to see. And then, of course, the killer is after him from that moment on. And he beats fucking 1 feet out of there on that crutch. And you cannot believe how fast he is. And then it doesn't end up mattering because she stabs him in the back and supposedly like through his mouth is the implication.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
He ends up with blood and like a piece of metal in his mouth. I think it's meant to evoke that she shoves it through his back and up his spine so hard, it's supposed to come out his mouth. But then in the reverse shot, it just looks like he got stabbed a little bit because they fired the guy who makes the special effects of the stabbing. And everything after that, it's just kind of like, I left the gags here. Let's try to figure it out. There's a real, we got a barn, let's put on a show sort of feeling. Annie is also in the building. So she ends up getting chased and she gets stabbed a little in the side. And then
this is after the reveal that you want to call it that Diane is actually a trans woman who, because she was, assigned male at birth, was not permitted to participate in the women's track and field team for the Olympics. Again, yes. This is a front page story. And I believe that the headline was Diane Payne, not a woman, or something like
oh my God.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a huge deal. And so Diane's motivation, I am unclear in why she is killing these people and why, let's assume, I guess she's later supposed to be in her late 30s, maybe. So presumably it's been at least a decade since her dream has died because she is assigned male at birth. And, I guess it's sort of implied that Dr. Jardine was giving her hormones so she could identify as female. Again, it's such a lazy twist that they don't really explore it.
Right. It just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. And so has she always been killing the competitors up to this point, or did she just suddenly start with this group?
I do not know why she wakes up one day and a switch gets flipped and it's time to kill. It just doesn't make any sense. There is a little backstory she gives that her mom was an Olympic athlete and she could never measure up. That is, you don't need the trans element of this. Not that
you
should
really
be verboten,
don't.
but if you're going to introduce it, at least make it a cognizant reason. It just seems like it's a trope. It's like, well, this person was assigned male at birth and now they're, now they present as a woman and live their life as a woman. So kill her? That's not, no.
You think that this reveal is tacky on its own merits, and then you're going to love how once the twist is revealed, suddenly Diane's voice drops. It's about 3 registers.
Inconsistently, I might add. It's like it slips, and all of a sudden she's Bane for a little.
I was going to say,
I was born in the darkness, Annie.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tweaking someone's voice to make it sound like they're possessed by the devil. So they start talking like this.
But then sometimes she's talking in her normal voice, and you're kind of like, what is the point of all of this? You should have just worked on a motivation instead.
She could have just been a failed athlete.
I couldn't live up to my mom's standards.
They could have had a flashback where they show her whatever the fuck. She was like a runner or something, I guess.
She was a javelin thrower.
She gets hurt and can't compete. That's all they had to do.
And it would be like I get it.
It has the same motivation in which I have been driven insane by my dashed dreams, and I can't allow anybody else to achieve the dreams that I had for myself. That is all you had to do. And
all of you are cheating because
you're taking these performance enhancing drugs. Exactly. Right. That's all you had to do.
And it would just been fine. Like it would have been it would have improved the overall film in terms of how poorly it's photographed and all that. But it would have at least like not left a bad taste in your mouth. And this is just haphazard bullshit. And so she stabs Annie a little bit. Annie is on a chase for her life. Phil arrives at some point and then runs off to find the authorities. Why he chooses to run off without her, I don't particularly know. But they separate and Annie is running for her life. And at one point, the nurse throws a javelin at her and it sticks in a wall. And it feels like that sequence in Airplane where out of nowhere an arrow lodges in the wall. Oh, one of the elements of that newspaper headline that I loved was, quote, "Too many male hormones?" ? I'm like, okay. This is where Chekhov's scaffolding enters the picture. Earlier, when Frank gets hurt, there's just scaffolding put in the middle of the gymnasium. And you're wondering, why are we spending so much time doing this shit? Well, it turns out this is where Annie is going to hide. And so she goes all the way to the top and Nurse Diane cannot find her and then goes out an exit. And she's like, whew, let's see if I can get one of these windows open. And then like the fastest Nurse Diane has ever moved is to get to this skylight 3 stories above the floor somehow with a javelin and just jump through the window. And Annie goes, oh, fuck all y'all. And 2-leg kicks her off of the scaffolding. And she falls to the ground and impales herself on a rando trophy.
A trophy just kind of sitting on like a table or
yes, just all by itself, as if like someone's going to need to fall through something. Let's put this trophy here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if like, a trophy can sustain, let's say about, 140 pounds of human being falling on it without just snapping in half. But no, this plunges right through her body like a shard of glass.
And then Coach A-Hole and Phil walk into the gymnasium and they're like,
their faces are just like, huh?
Where? And credits to silence. And like someone has refused to add music to the end of this film.
I just feel like at that point the camera just sort of like indifferently drifts away.
Someone pulls focus to just abstract and they're like, should we just let it run out of film? Sure.
That's a wrap, everybody.
That's a wrap on everyone. And so we can't really call a wrap until we choose our own death venture, where we decide of the many, many javelin-related deaths in this film, which one would you choose and why? We have speared into a wall through the stomach by a javelin, speared through the stomach by a javelin while naked in the gym, speared through the back by a javelin in broad fucking daylight, speared through the stomach by a javelin while swimming, speared in the back by a javelin despite holding the crutch speed record. And finally, a fall from a 3-story scaffolding and impaled by trophy. Gina, I choose you to go first.
Well, I definitely don't want to spend like my last precious moments on this earth running around naked. So I do enjoy swimming. I'm not an athletic person, but I'm a pretty good swimmer, and I do enjoy swimming when I can. So I think I will take. I will take javelin while swimming.
I think that makes sense. I am going to go with Nancy. I want to be speared so hard I fly into a wall. That looks fun.
It's like, wee!
I'm flying! And then you're dead. Makes perfect sense. Josh Hollis does all of our artwork. Go to joshhollis.com for cool stuff like that. Go to Revenge Body Memphis at bandcamp.com for this theme and other remixes. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at spool.net. I have a Substack, GinaWatchesThings.substack.com. I am on most social medias under Gina Does Things.
Do it today. People, check it out. Find us on Patreon for extra bonus episodes. Rate and review us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. That helps us be seen and heard by more listeners like you. Don't worry, folks. the body count will continue. Reach your gold medal glory here on Kill by Kill Pod. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have you met All Modern? All Modern brings you the best of modern furniture, and they deliver it for free in days. You heard that right, days. That way, you get your sofa ASAP and can sit comfortably while figuring out your other modern must-haves. At All Modern, you'll find only the best of modern, from Scandi to mid-century, minimalist to maximalist. Every piece is hand-vetted for quality by our team of experts and designed for real life. That's modern made simple. Shop now at allmodern.com.